Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, I want to go ahead and take you up top for a new RV air conditioner, and guess what? It's a true inverter compressor. Remember, if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like and a comment down below. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Now, the first question some of you guys might be asking yourself is, what is an inverter compressor? I've never heard of that before. And if you have heard of it, great. But if you haven't, let me explain. An inverter compressor basically means that the compressor is variable speed, meaning that it can ramp from 0% up to 100% and everywhere in between that, depending on the load. So depending on how hot it is outside, how hot it is inside, how much you're calling for cool will depend on how much that compressor ramps up and down. With a variable speed compressor or an inverter compressor, if your RV is set to say 72 degrees and it hits 73 and that compressor is on, it's going to only be on at, say 25, 30, 50% cooling, and it's going to try and cool the RV down at that 50% compressor speed. But then what it'll do is, if after X amount of time, based on what the computer inside is telling it, so after X amount of time, oh, I haven't brought down the temperature at all, it's stayed the same, let's ramp the compressor up to 75% or to 100%. And that would go the same thing for, let's say it got even warmer in the RV because of how hot it is outside and that 50% wasn't doing its job. That inverter compressor will step up to that next stage and bring the cooling down. Now, what that equates to is the compressor itself is on more than a regular RV air conditioner that just kicks on, cools the RV down, and then the compressor kicks off, and it kicks on and off, on, off, on, off. And usually, they're on for 10 minutes and off for 5 minutes, and on for 10, 20 minutes and off for 5 minutes, or midday, midsummer in Florida or Texas or something like that. It's just on all day long. As soon as the sun comes up, the compressor is on. Now, again, the inverter compressor, like I said, like right now, mild climate, mid 80s, the compressor would normally cycle on and off, but the inverter compressor will actually just stay on, but it'll ramp up and down its speed. And as it ramps up and down its speed, it is using more power and less power. And so if it's on at a longer period of time, but at a lower wattage, depending on the situation, it's way more energy efficient. So now that you know what an inverter compressor is and how it works, what is this unit? So this unit is from a company called Turbro. That's Turbro. And when you go on their website, you'll see they make various other things. They make a regular RV air conditioner. They make some heating products, fireplaces, de-icers, all sorts of different things. But I'll tell you, this unit, I am extremely impressed with the numbers of how it is truly a more energy efficient unit. And you know what, let me just go ahead and get right to that. Let's talk about some numbers. Let me show you what this thing does. When I installed this 3 days ago now, or 4 days ago now, so let me show you some numbers on my Victron so I can really show you exactly what this thing's been doing by itself or in tandem with my other air conditioner, because this RV needs two air conditioners to keep it at a comfortable temperature in high heat. All right, so right now air conditioners are both off, right? So just my residual stuff that's in the RV right now, basically, like the Starlink, my computer, etc. We're pulling a little over 100 watts, okay, 120 maybe on average. It's kind of fluctuating, 110 to 120. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on this new unit, and let's go ahead and just keep it. Actually, I'm gonna turn the temperature up. So just the fan. So just the fan kicked on, and looks like it went to about 180 watts. So an average of about 60 watts just for the fan, okay? Now, let's go ahead and turn the compressor on by changing the temperature down, all the way down. Now watch what happens here on our AC load. So remember, we're at 120, and the compressor is already ramping up. So this is what happens with an inverter compressor, right? So it went to like 180, 200 range for the fan, and now it's just slowly ramping up. You're watching it go from 300, 400, 500, 600, 720, 780, 800, and that's at inverter compressor ramping up to 100% on. And it looks like it's leveled off here just under 800 watts. So that's that new unit on full blast, pulling less than 700 watts, because remember, as 110, 120 was just the residual from the RV. So, you know, you minus that back off that 800, you're talking about, you know, 680, 700 watts ish. So 600 to 700 watts for that thing to be running full blast for a 13.5 thousand BTU unit. All right, just to nerd out on a little bit more data. So again, yesterday between 11 and noon, oops, where'd it go? You can see that I pulled 2.47 kilowatt hours, and that was running both the Dometic unit as well as the Gree unit, so both air conditioners yesterday before I did the install. Then today, same time frame, 11 to noon, temperatures outside have been very similar, very similar conditions, and we're at 1.54. So again, saving from 1.54, 2.4, so almost another 1,000 kilowatt hours for 11 o'clock. You know, that's outstanding. The energy savings between those two units and now these two units. All right, let's look at one other piece of data. So this is from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Not last night with the new air conditioner, but 2 nights ago when I had just the Gree unit on overnight, keeping the whole RV cool. It does a fine job at it. But you can see that we used 8.2 kilowatt hours from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. 8.2. So now this is last night, overnight, and that's again with the Gree unit and the new unit from Turbro being on overnight, and I only pulled 7.1 kilowatt hours. So what does that really mean? It means that overnight, instead of using just one air conditioner, I ran 2 air conditioners and got less energy draw between 2 air conditioners, because this back unit is so energy efficient, and it's doing a lot of the cooling as well, versus just the one unit having to work harder to cool a larger space. It's now able to cycle a little bit better because this back unit is on, also providing cooling. But again, it's at such an efficient pace that I use less energy using 2 air conditioners. And again, that saving of 1100 watts, essentially, 1.1 kilowatts, 1100 watts overnight, that's significant amount of savings for someone that's trying to run overnight off of batteries alone. Now, here's some initial reviews for me in terms of the noise level of this unit, okay? Now, while the inverter compressor is way more efficient, it's the lowest energy draw, no startup amperage, it ramps up and down. Can't argue that. That has everything else beat that's on the market right now, including the Gree unit, obviously. The Gree unit is an absolutely wonderful unit. However, Turbro, in my opinion, didn't do that great of a design for this inside unit. While it's visually appealing and it's a beautiful unit, I really like the look of it, the air delivery system, we'll call it, creates a lot of turbulence because it basically just dumps down and then has to spread around to come out these vents on the front and back side. Versus the Gree unit, this Gree unit here, it's, I mean, whisper quiet, which, you know, the main noise inside of an RV is coming from just the airflow. The compressor itself, depending on the RV, you know, you might hear it running, you might not hear it running. It's not that much more noise level. It's that main air that's coming out of these units. It's just usually just ridiculously loud. And this Gree unit, the way that they did this ducted system inside of here, and it is just whisper quiet. So the Gree unit is still way quieter of a unit, but that Turbro unit is way more efficient of a unit, uses way less energy. One other feature I really like about this unit that I didn't even know about is it has this awesome light. So you have regular white, you have blue, and you have more like a off-white, you know, that yellowish kind of soft white. And you know, just down in a regular room, it's a really nice ambient light that's not directly in your eyes. Of course, standing back here, I'm looking, you can see up into it, but it's not like, you know, a direct light going right down into you. It's hitting the ceiling, coming out. So it's really nice. All right, so check this out. So my Victron system that I have is a Victron Multiplus 3 kVA, which I think is about 2,600 watts, okay? So right now, this whole system's pulling just under 1,100 watts. That's about 100 to 120 of like my computer and miscellaneous stuff like the Starlink. And then the other, essentially 1,000 watts right now, and 900 and change, is from the Gree air conditioner that is on and whisper quiet. But look at this, okay? So 1,100 watts. Let me turn on this other unit, and I'm gonna again turn it down real low. And what this means is, with 2 air conditioners, my Victron Multiplus can run 2 air conditioners, because the one is only pulling 1,100 watts plus all the other AC supply stuff. And now this thing's gonna ramp up, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna stay under 2,000 watts. But watch it ramp up. That's it. It's 1,700 watts, 1,800 watts. So again, I still have an extra 800 watts available in my Victron Multiplus for other stuff. There's no regular RV setup that has a Victron Multiplus that you can efficiently run 2 air conditioners on that one inverter without maxing that thing out all the time. Like if you have 2 13 kW, the smaller units, they're pulling 1,200 watts a piece, and you have soft starts on both, that's still 2,400 to 2,600 watts, and that's the max for that Victron Multiplus. And that's gonna eventually, it's gonna overload, it's gonna overheat it, it's not gonna run very long, and again, it's also gonna drain those batteries down super fast. So I'm running 2 air conditioners for less than 2,000 watts, plus my Starlink, plus my computer and my monitor and everything else I'm doing for work. And again, if you didn't notice, I only am pulling 1,300 watts from shore. That's because I'm just on a regular extension cord, basically mooch docking right now. So I have it set to 15 amps, so it's not pulling more than 15 amps from shore, and it's keeping my batteries still at 100%, because with the 2 air conditioners, what's happening is, the one is cycling, this one is ramping up and down, doing its thing, and it's mainly staying below what is needed from shore, and when it's not, it pulls the extra from my batteries. And then when the one turns off and it's able to pull more from the shore power comes in and recharges the batteries. It's an outstanding system. Now, I do want to address and talk about the internal noise, okay? Now, I believe that they could have done a better job at designing the airflow system in here, because it does have a lot of turbulence, okay? So it's definitely quieter than any normal RV air conditioner. However, it is not quieter than the Gree unit that I have, and I've had multiple videos on that. The Gree unit is hands down the more quiet unit inside, for sure, not a question. You can't even argue it. But the design of how this thing is ducted isn't really that great. It has a very nice separation of the two. There's a foam piece up in there that separates the supply plenum, and the return is nice and tight, and it's really nice. Here, actually, I'll just show you. So the cover comes off just by clicking it, and those little hooks just sit right up in there. I'm gonna go ahead and just very carefully lay that down. All right, and this is our filter. So you can see that basically, this air gets sucked up in here. This right here is our supply right here. This is a foam gasket between the two, so it cannot contaminate the air from the return air going up towards the coil to the supply air coming down. However, once it comes down, I can't really show you, but it basically just hits the inside of this thing, and these vents on the front, like there's more air coming out right here and almost nothing coming out over here, and there's still some air coming out, but it's not very well distributed, but it does come out both the front and the back. But that's where there's so much noise from. This is just the design of this internal component. So again, the fan itself is still creating a bit of noise, but nowhere near a normal air conditioner, and definitely more noise than the Gree air conditioner. So I'm not sure if you guys can even really hear it running right now, or how much you can hear it running, but the outdoor unit, this compressor, is super quiet. Again, because it's an inverter compressor, so it's significantly quieter outside, which also reverberates to inside too, right? Like, you can hear on those big RV air conditioners, the compressor kicks on and the whole roof kind of wah, wah, wah with the compressor. It's noisy. This thing doesn't make any noise whatsoever. All right, I want to show you guys one last little bit of information. Okay, now this is over the past 7 days, and we have our exterior temperature and our interior temperature, okay? And again, I replaced the unit over, basically on this day, but not until the late afternoon, so it didn't really matter until these next few days. But you can see that the temperature of the exterior was hitting 87. We had a cool day of 82, then back to high of 87.8, 87.6, 80, where's the high? And either way, it's right up there, 88 degrees basically for multiple days. And our internal temperature inside the RV was pretty warm. It was up in the mid 80s off of just one air conditioner. Then again, this cool day, not so bad. Back to that hot day again, 83. And then after I installed the air conditioner, the second air conditioner, and got it running, it's keeping the RV significantly cooler. Okay, you can clearly see how it's keeping the RV cooler now that it's installed by comparison of these hot days. Now with that same bit of information, okay, remember we had our really hot days right here, and then on this day is when I installed the system, and now these past days have been with both air conditioners running full blast. But on these hot days, I pulled an average of 27.99 kilowatt hours and 25.86, so 26 to 28 kilowatt hours on those 2 days. Then I installed the unit and I pulled 22.85, and again, this is about halfway through. Okay, so I installed it like mid-afternoon, whatever. Then the first day, like all by itself, I mean, it pulled less than 19.96 kilowatt hours by comparison of 25 and 27. I mean, that's 8 kilowatt hours. So from 28 down to 8, what's that percentage? I don't know. 30%, somewhere in that range, 30-40%, I don't know. Insane. Okay, and again, this was running one air conditioner on these days here. This was running one air conditioner. Now I'm running 2 air conditioners, and I'm using less energy. So let me just give you my final thoughts and closings, essentially, okay? So I'm using way less energy. I'm running 2 air conditioners, getting better cooling in the RV, better temperature in the RV by running 2 air conditioners by comparison of the one by itself was trying to do the job, okay? So hands down, this is an outstanding unit. The inverter compressor is super energy efficient. It is whisper quiet on the outside. It's a great unit. However, the Gree unit, while it's a little bit less energy efficient, it's really not that bad. The Gree unit is still an outstanding unit. It does not use a whole lot of energy. Inside, the Gree unit is whisper quiet. It is the quietest unit on the market. No one can tell me otherwise until they prove me wrong. The internal components of this new Turbro unit is a little bit louder than the Gree, okay? But again, this is the quietest thing on the market. This unit is still quieter than 99% of all standard RV air conditioners, your regular Dometic, Coleman, non-ducted systems. This thing is still quieter than that, but not nearly as quiet as the Gree. But again, the energy efficiency is insane. Now, next week, I'm going to show you guys the actual install of this unit. So until then, please drop those comments down below. Let me know what you want to hear, what I can try and answer for you guys. I'll do some follow-up videos on the 2 units as I have been. I mean, I've been doing this Gree unit now for over a year and change, and it's an awesome unit. This unit is definitely more energy efficient, but this unit is quieter. So what do you want? What do you need, right? If you're just strictly boondocking, you want energy efficiency, the Turbro Inverter compressor is where you want to be. If you want to have a little bit of a balance and have quiet and energy efficient, the Gree unit is your answer, okay? The Gree unit is the quietest thing on the market, but not as energy efficient as the Turbro. But again, that Turbro is top tier energy efficiency. Again, drop those comments down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Why Not RV. Bye.